Hello, everyone. So we are ready here for our first panel of the day, the Eldrazi Powerhouse. So please, welcome on stage, Matt Daner, your first panelist for today.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, MagicCon Amsterdam, and welcome to the Eldrazi Power Hour, where we are going to discuss the largest, the scariest, and the weirdest villain that Magic has to offer. The biggest one in all the multiverse. I can't do this alone, though, so please join me in welcoming to the stage the amazing game designer, Ellie Rice, and the illustrious art director, Ovidio Cartagena. They're going to help me shed some light on these amazing Eldritch horrors, and stay tuned afterwards for a special presentation from our friends at LoadingReadyRun. So we have an opportunity here to show some stuff that we haven't shown before, maybe haven't seen in a while, and so there are three things, so you'll get a chance to see some of that here on stage today, and there are three things that we know for certain about the Eldrazi, and that is that they are unknowable.
They're inscrutable.
And they're unfathomable.
Yes, so this is actually going to be a really short panel here today. But as the creatives, we have a pretty unique perspective that we're going to share with you about these characters. So we're going to bring you up to speed a little bit here on everything that's been going on with the Eldrazi prior to you seeing them here in Modern Horizons 3. So in order to prepare for this panel, I poured through all the ancient tomes that were available to me. I'm talking about all the old web comics, all the old art books, all the old world guides, the web fiction, which can be found online at mtgstory.com. Once again, that's mtgstory.com. So if you'll indulge me, I'm going to run through 6,000 years of Magic history in the multiverse very, very quickly. So the scene opens with two powerful planeswalkers. These are pre-bending planeswalkers that show up on a plane, an unknown plane, and it is getting absolutely demolished by some Eldrazi titans. Now, realizing that this is an existential crisis for the entirety of the multiverse and probably creation as a whole, they recruit their dragon buddy, Ugin, and they're going to go ahead and devise a plan to trap these Eldrazi on the mana-rich plane of Zendikar. Now, Nahiri, a powerful lithomancer, capable of forging stones, has a few concerns with this idea because Zendikar is our homeland, and it turns out these concerns are going to be very, very well founded, but I'll get to that in just a second. So, for over the next 40 years, Nahiri spends her time creating all of these extreme lattice work of these 8-sided octahedrons, or hedrons, that are imbued and infused with Ugin's magic. Now, Sorin lures the Eldrazi to the plane of Zendikar. The trap is sprung, and in response, Zendikar and the hedrons encase the Titans in the Akum Mountains. Now, in a very job's done moment, they kind of walk away, resolving to, hey, if anything ever goes wrong, just, hey, we'll just phone each other via the Eye of Ugin. What could possibly go wrong? This is all probably fine. So if the prison ever deteriorates, just give us a ring. Now, Nahiri lives with the core on Zendikar for a while, falls in love a couple times, but she's an ageless entity, and it kind of gets old just kind of never aging and watching all of your friends kind of pass away. So she decides, what I'm going to do is I'm a lithomancer, I'm going to take a meditative dirt nap. But first, I should probably warn the Zendikari denizens of the threat that these Eldrazi pose. And so what she does is she goes to the key points of the ley line network and is like, okay, so I should tell them about the Eldrazi. Well, how do you communicate a reality-ending threat to beings that don't really understand that there's even a multiverse, let alone these colossal titans? And so what Nahiri decides to come up with is she's like, oh, I'll just tell the locals that they're powerful gods. What could go wrong? It turns out a lot, but we'll get to that. So then decides that she's going to go ahead and meditate for the next 5,000 years or so. Now, she's in her meditation, senses a disturbance, wakes up, and decides to use the Eye of Ugin to communicate to her boys. Now, she's like, bring Ugin, hello. And Ugin doesn't pick up because, well, he's got a pretty good excuse. He's dead. That's fine. It's like, cool, I'll contact Sorin. Contact Sorin, and he doesn't pick up because, well, he's trying to keep the vampire population from overwhelming and wiping out the entirety of Innistrad, but that's an entirely different story. So she wakes up, decides to take matters into her own hands, and discovers that the locals have actually formed these complex false religions about these false gods that she told them about 5,000 years ago. So now they've become to be revered by all the species and denizens of Zendikar as the three gods, Ula, Kozi, and Emeria. Now, there's also vamps on Zendikar right now. That's weird. They weren't here before. But anyway, she stops the jailbreak, vanquishes the loosened Eldrazi brood, kills a bunch of vampire cultists on the way, and then decides, you know what? I'm going to go check on my boy Soren, because he said he was going to help me out in case there was ever any issues here. Now, we're going to fast forward 1,000 years to a series of events in which Chandra arrives on Zendikar with Jace hot on her heels. Now, Chandra runs into Anawan, the vampire sage, and decides, hey, this guy can probably lead me to the Eye of Ugin. He knows a lot about the history of this place. Now, in a moment of sudden and inevitable betrayal, Anawan tries to bite Chandra and steal the scroll that she carries. Now Chandra ditches Anawan with the help of Sarkanvol, our favorite dragon enthusiast planeswalker, and together they travel to the Eye of Ugin. Now, meanwhile, Jace, hot on her heels, bumps into Anawan, and Anawan's like, hey, you want to come with? And Jace says, yes, sure. And on the way, tries to warn Jace about the thing, but Jace, being the know-it-all that he is, slams a door in his face and does not understand that what the Eye of Ugin actually is a containment unit for these powerful Eldrazi Titans. Now, Sarkhan is not really in a good place right now, and Chandra comes to recognize this and realizes it just as Jace catches up with her. Now, a powerful scroll and a battle ensues. Ghost Fire is cast from the scroll. It weakens the entire Eldrazi containment unit. Jace and Chandra kind of win the day, but they're like, hey, I wonder who set us off on this path to figure out what happened. TLDR, it was Nicol Bolas. That's an entirely different story that I do not have the time to cover here today. Try to get through this one. Meanwhile, Nissa Ravane, outcast Jiraga elf, and a powerful animist in her own right, is having these dark visions of Zendikar. So she, along with a bunch of Tajuru elves, set off to fight the Eldrazi broods that have been released by the Planeswalkers and their antics with Ghostfire in the Eye of Ugin. Now, that squad gets wiped. Soren kind of shows up, helps Nissa save the day, and unknown to Nissa, Soren Markov is actually a vampire. So she decides to travel with Soren and Anawan, and I know what you're thinking. You're like, seriously, this guy again? Yes, to the Eye of Ugin. Now, Anawan, along the way, talks to Nissa and understands Nissa's heritage and that she is a planeswalker. He's interacted with planeswalkers before, and he convinces Nissa that instead of fixing the Hedron network, what we ought to do is go ahead and just destroy it, because in that case, the Eldrazi being free will probably just wander off, right? No, wrong. So what happens is they get to the Eye, the weakened Eye, it finally gets totally devastated, and Ulamog, Kozilek, and America, and Emeria, and Emrakul are in Emeria also, but are freed, and that releases the onslaught of the rise of the Eldrazi and the full brood lineage of the Eldrazi. Okay, so
You need a little fanning?
we're up to speed. We did it. We did it.
Turns out
We've
we know a lot
arrived
about the
at the
Eldrazi.
rise of the Eldrazi. Yeah.
We kind of
And so here we see absolutely phenomenal Michael Comarch image, and this was used on the bundles from back in the day. So you may not have seen this art before, but it's totally amazing and really, really awesome in its own right. Now, we also have the Rise of the Eldrazi key art, and here you can actually see both Soren and Nissa getting ready to do battle against the hordes of Eldrazi Titan. And you can see even the brood lineages here, their shape languages were developed very, very early on. And I realized you can't see the monitors.
No, I do. I'm waiting for the concept art.
And with that, I can show you one of my favorite of the Eldrazi Titans, our boy Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre.
So yeah, the fun thing about all of the Eldrazi's were this was something that was creative first. Creative came to design and said, look, we're doing this set. We want to have these big, inscrutable, freaky monsters, so do something about that. And we were like, yeah, that seems no problem. Let's start with some Titans. And so we have 3 Titans, obviously. Ulamog is the first one that you see in Rise of Eldrazi, and he's the smallest of them. And I like to just think of him as like a very hangry baby, because that's basically all he does is scream and eat his way through the plains. And so actually each Eldrazi Titan has something unique about them in design that throughout all of their iterations and all of the versions that you see, we really tried to stay true to those characteristics. So with Ulamog, he's the Titan of consumption. And so in every version you see, he is eating something in a way. And so that's where the destroy bit comes, and in later iterations you'll see that be amped up
Recurring theme.
real often. Listen, you gotta eat often when you're that size with that many limbs. I guess.
It's a really scary Titan.
He's super scary.
Especially when it shows up across the battlefield on the other side, right?
Yeah.
But Ulamog is the one with the most identifiable human features. Just pectorals, arms, even hands, and maybe a head. We don't know what that is. So it's a little misleading, but it might be a sign of something worse.
And we see that kind of design and that shape which carried out kind of amongst the other Eldrazi of his lineage as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if we go here to the next slide, I think we have an opportunity to take a look at some of these cards.
Yeah, so these are a lot of the very iconic, uncommons from the set. And what we wanted to do with design is we had to ask ourselves, okay, how can we make Eldrazi feel, more distinct than just big creatures with trample? That's something we've done before a billion times, and we wanted to do something different this time. And so we were like, well, we have to have a keyword, because if you don't have some motivation for players to attack, they'll usually sit behind large creatures. That actually makes people play more defensively unless there's some kind of keyword there. So we're like, we came up with Annihilator, which went so well, 10 out of 10, no problem.
No notes?
No notes. Would absolutely do again occasionally.
Yeah.
But it did sort of deliver on the promise we were trying to meet, which was like, how do we get players motivated to attack with these things, deliver these dramatic moments where it feels like your world is about to end if you have to sacrifice one more thing. You're facing down these titans. How do we make that feel really impactful? And so that's where Annihilator came from. And like I said, no notes, great stuff. Great.
They are. They're terrifying. You don't want to see them on the other side of the table. And as I understand it as well, the line, the must attack condition.
Yeah.
It feels bad to annihilate somebody, and that must attack whose condition was added because it's like, no, you must annihilate your opponents. That's what we do here.
You must
Eldrazi.
actually be the bad guy.
Yeah, so we've discussed Annihilator's fun. You know what else is fun? How about butchering some truths?
Oh,
that's good.
Yeah.
And this is your favorite, yeah, Ovidio?
Yes, I love saying when I cast this, the butcher of truth. I love putting that on the battlefield.
You have to have the hand motion.
Yeah, you gotta feel it.
Butchering everything.
This is my favorite of the Titans.
Yeah.
The design, it could be almost like an armored human, but what we see between the shoulders might not be exactly the center of his thoughts. If there are any thoughts, I love his brood. It's my favorite. I'm devout to Kozilek. So I love the geometry and everything going on with him. Every card, I find a deck for it, or I make one.
The obsidian shapes.
Oh, beautiful stuff.
Yeah, and he's Kozilek is the second largest of the, so he's definitely bigger than Ulamog, and is the Titan of corruption. No, Titan of distortion, my bad. And mostly from our perspective, that means we had to figure out a way of how do we show this Titan warping the mind. He distorts your perception. He changes what you think is true or not true. He makes you think, actually, the Eldrazi's fine people. They're just here to kind of relax in your nice forest and definitely not do anything bad to you. And in design, though, we often think of your library, like a player's library, as your mind. So you'll often see in all of his versions some sort of thing relating to the library, whether that's drawing or manipulating the top, lots of things that we like to play around in here.
In the latest iteration, both, right, as a matter of fact. And so, I like Ulamog, you like Kozilek, but Ellie, as I understand it, yeah.
I'm a little bit of a Glamrical stan. That's right. I do love me some Emrakul.
So if we look here, we have Emrakul, illustrated by the amazing artist Mark
Tedin,
who is here.
Yes, Mark Tedin. Please go visit him. Shake his hand. The hand that made the goddess herself.
Yes.
His style really gave a lot to Emrakul. She is 60 meters tall. That's 200 feet for the rest of us.
Yeah, massive, you think evocative of like an alien battleship, and that's a word that actually gets used around the office, right?
Oh, yeah,
it's like Rise of the Eldrazi. It was kind of like the first foray into what like was called battle cruiser magic. So, Ellie, talk a little bit about that, like internally. Battle cruiser magic.
Yeah, so when we talk inside of design about what battle cruiser means, what we're talking about is often you'll have players, especially casual players, love to build up these big, massive board states, and they kind of tend to hold off attacking until they get that sort of ship assembled, and then they just like ramming it into their other opponent. And so we wanted to do that here, really deliver on that feeling. In a way, this was actually designed kind of reaching into what Commander what Commander is now before there was really Commander, because battle cruiser magic is often what you'll see in Commander. And so with Emrakul and with all of the Titans, they're really expensive. Emrakul is the highest cost, most impactful, biggest stats, everything. But in order for us to get players to even be able to get to the point where you could cast her, we had to really change how we made formats. We had to slow them down. We had to narrow a lot of removal so it wouldn't be as good. And you can get to that point where you cast your Titan and annihilate your opponent.
Yeah, like the Titans may leave just nothing but wastes behind them, right? Whether it's the bismuth,
Some
the
bismuth,
ossified
they
waste.
gentrify the landscape. You know?
They sure do. But
they do
provide
to suck out all the flavor.
all the flavor. But ultimately, they've created a very fertile ground, and we see that because as we've seen them a number of times here. The shape language stays the same. The mechanical space is so vast and vibrant, and there's really an opportunity to see them. And a lot of that comes from the initial concept art. And we'll go ahead and put up a piece here that some of you have probably likely seen recently on the concept Eldrazi. And this came from the mind of Vincent Pross.
Oh yeah, beautiful stuff. The Brood of Ulamog is the most recognizable and uniform across types, across creature sizes and whatever. It always has the bifurcated forearms and hands that can make gestures. We don't know what those gestures are,
Inscrutable.
So yes, inscrutable. Or maybe we know, but we'll let people know in the later set.
Yeah, you may come to find out. That's exactly.
Yeah. People will find out.
Keep the mystery alive.
And so Ulamog actually is the threat, the face threat of Battle for Zendikar. So we've arrived at Battle for Zendikar. Oh. We have Gideon here mean mugging against Ulamog. But Gideon, indestructible though he may be, is incapable of defeating Ulamog on his own. So he's, at this point, running around the multiverse, trying to assemble a crack team of other planeswalkers that can actually come and help assist him. He's not sleeping for days. He's battling alongside Zendikar and then off to Ravnica to try to find out who this new Living Guild Pact character is. So. And so Ulamog returns both as the face, or should I say faceless, of this set, and then, of course, I'd be remiss not to mention this flavor knockout.
Oh, yes. The Ceaseless Hunger, indeed, yeah. Still hungry, second time around. So fun fact, for me, this is actually, I started playing right around Cons of Tarkir. So not to age myself too much, but about 10 years ago. And BFC was my first introduction to what the Eldrazi's were as a player. And I was struck dumb by the first time I saw Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. It's still my favorite version of Ulamog. It's really incredible. We leaned into, in this set, they still leaned into that hunger aspect of it but instead of destroying, he's exiling, which works really well with what else was going on in the set. And he's still small, but he's got big impact. I actually played against a player yesterday. You know what you did to me and my commander deck. I don't know if you're out there, because I can't see through the lights, but you know what you did. But it brought back good memories, yeah.
Well, and you talk about exiling being relevant for this set, and it is. It was a big part of the set mechanic, right, with ingesting and digesting. And if we take a look at kind of Ulamog and his lineage, we take a look at the next few cards here, and we can talk a little bit about just how they present themselves in different ways.
Yeah, so like we said before, each of the Titans, from the onset, we were like, we want them to feel distinct from each other. And in Battle for Zendikar, we were like, okay, we're going to carry those characteristics really strongly into their individual broods so that when you, as a player, looking through cards and you're drafting, you're actually will be able to sort of pattern recognize your way into who's in what brood. And so Ulamog's brood does a lot of, managing cards in exile, using that as a resource. Kozilek was leaning into a lot of the colorless matters, and that's devoid and a lot of what we were doing there. And you may notice that we kind of said, you loved Annihilator, everybody loved Annihilator, but maybe too much, and this time we would do something different.
We're just going to try it a little bit different.
Try a little different. And so we leaned into, the colorless matters and devoid, and that was our way of kind of redefining what the Eldrazi's could be about.
Yeah, so to this day, Kozilek's still doing things with the colorless mana. And again, visually speaking, I have an image that I'm going to show here of the original concept art for Ovidio, your favorite. And this is...
My dear friend Kozilek, designed by Richard Withers.
Oh.
Great work. It's just the shapes of all the brood of Kozilek are very variable, but you can recognize them by the obsidian plates around, the eyes across, everywhere. Eyes here, they can see from any part. And the iridescence, like a beetle. So it's definitely my favorite of the three. Super beautiful, super iconic. There's like a twisted geometry sense, like a sense of mysterious universal geometry there.
This image here I was actually very excited to find. This is Kozilek the Great Distortion by Jamie Jones, and this was a Magic the Gathering online card. So I wasn't even, as I was going through and prepping for the presentation, I found this one. I was like, this is
Art.
Kozilek in all his glory. Yeah. So talking a little bit about Kozilek, we said Ulamog was the threat for the first one. Kozilek was very much the threat for OGW. So if we take a look here at Oath of the Gatewatch, we have this amazing image by Michael Komark of Nissa. And very small in that V of Hedrons in the background, you can actually see the compatriots that Nissa is going to go ahead and work with here to actually fight off the Eldrazi threat. So we see Jace, we see Gideon, we see Chandra in the background here as they are doing battle. And Kozilek is your main villain. So again, we saw Ulamog from BFZ. Let's take a look at Kozilek from OGW.
Oh yeah, Kozilek, Great Distortion, or as I like to say, the Great Gaslighter, because that is what this Titan is about, always. Gaslight, Gatewatch crushing, girl bossing. That's what he's about. So actually, one of the cool things we really did for the first time in the set was put colorless mana in the casting cost. We'd never done that before. In Rise of Eldrazi, we did, colorless as not an artifact in instants and sorceries, and here we're like, no, let's put it in casting cost. That'll be cool, which absolutely was. It was a big hit. Worked really well with Kozilek, and another reason why you'll see in other cards of him caring about colorless matters, and that was just like a beautiful, really nice flavor and mechanical tie.
This was my first Eldrazi card that I ever pulled, and I didn't pull it out of a pack. There was like a stash of free cards. You know that some stores have free cards.
Yeah.
Someone put this in there, or maybe Kozilek himself slipped it in. I don't know.
Your reality was distorted.
Yeah, my reality was distorted. So I pulled it. I immediately found a place for Kozilek, and I will always find a place for Kozilek. Great work by Alexi Briclot. Alexi has done a lot of amazing art for Magic, and more to come,
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we talked about the visual language and the mechanical language, and again, fertile ground here. OGW was full of awesome cards from Oath of the Gatewatch. So we can take a look here at kind of Kozilek's sidekicks.
Those are some sidekicks.
We got.
They look like they could kick you.
Raised miner. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah.
And so for here, I want to show yet another image, but I'm going to first kind of set up what happens next. If we go to the next slide, what we see is we've 2 Titans down, 1 to go, and it turns out Nahiri's plan kind of worked. Nahiri, being the powerful lithomancer that she was able to construct the ley lines that she'd learned about through Ugin to pull Emrakul through the eternities to the plane of Innistrad. And it doesn't go well for really anyone here on Innistrad. It's a revenge story that ends pretty bad, and you can see that here, how bad it ends on Emrakul, the Promised End.
Oh, yes. I cast this card perhaps way too many times considering how many friends I still have. Quite incredible move for me. Yeah, this was quite the card. Played a lot in black-green Delirium in the time of Standard and early Aetherworks Marvel before it got axed. But it was still really, really impactful. The cost reduction really worked well with what was happening in the set, which was primarily Delirium. And that did mean you could get this out way sooner than turn 13 or whatever it was.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah, but it's like
just a totally reasonable turn 7 drop.
That's
I don't know. That's about
That's
when Magic
fine.
games should really come into their own, right?
Well, they should be later than that. This is a little bit of an oopsie.
This very scary goddess to confront.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say, I did beat Emrakul once
Yeah?
by
Tell me about
using the humble Blighted Fen.
See?
So
It could be bested by a land. Can't be
very
that
powerful
bad.
in Standard. You can't go up against Blighted Fen. What's going on?
Yeah, I think with Emrakul, she's still huge. She's so impactful. The wonderful thing I think we did in this set was lean into, she's the Titan of corruption, truly, and so all of organic matter really is subject to her will. And so we played a lot in that space of what does that mean, and warping bodies and things like that. And it was really, I just think it was a really cool thing that we did.
Absolutely. You see her corruption played out on the cards in this set beyond just Emrakul themselves, right? So you get the Bismuth, you get the Ossified from Kozilek or Ulamog respectively, but here Emrakul really kind of, you see the kind of the gross the tendrils filling the kind of the flesh.
I'm here, I'm taking your turn, and everything you love.
And we can take a look at some cards from the set too, where you see that corruption played out. It's not going well for
The Eldrazi have invaded Innistrad. They've taken over people, animals, creatures, environment, everything. When Eldritch Moon came out, I bought so many packs, hoping to get Tamiyo or Emrakul. I never did. I had to buy them, you know. but it was great playing that game. It made me like, if I was a fan of Magic before, I just blew up with this. And I didn't work at Wizards yet. I was hoping I would one day get to work with the Eldrazi, you know.
Yeah. And we'll take a look here at, you mentioned Tamiyo. Tamiyo is kind of the hero of this story in that Emrakul, in a very weird turn of events, kind of allows herself to be trapped in the moon. She decides that it's not quite yet her time.
I love that moment because the battle is not just physical, but it looks very dramatic and active. There's a lot of magic going on and so on. But in reality, Emrakul is also whispering into people's minds, into the Gatewatch, you know, telling them things. It tells you a lot about how battles function, you know. It's on two fronts, on the physical front, on the mental front. And Tamiyo, great negotiator, convinced Emrakul to be locked in the Innistrad Moon.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of brings us up to speed on kind of where we were at. So Modern Horizons sets are always very much a love letter to what is Magic. There's just so much awesome content that's been created over the years, and MH3 is no different. Just a huge love letter to fans, and nothing quite says love like a 180-foot, or what is that? Oh, video, help me. 66-meter tentacle
meters,
hug.
60 meters, 200 feet. Yeah.
Hug from this beast, Emrakul, the world anew.
Beautiful piece by Brent.
Yeah.
I love the gigantic scale, but there's like a sense of mystery with the clouds over there, the atmospheric perspective. It really gives you the sense she's facing us. straight on, like looking down. It's like she's whispering into your own mind as you see the art.
Yeah.
A lot of atmosphere and immersive, great piece, incredible. I just love this type of thing. I'm just glad it exists, and I'm glad I finally got to work with the Eldrazi on the following card.
So we knew from the get-go with MH3 or in Modern Horizons, with all of the Titans, we were like, it's going to be tough acts to follow their previous iterations. But we knew with Emrakul, we were like, this is definitely going to be top-down, Emrakul in the moon, whispering her madness, across the plains. And we definitely made some choices to give her a chance in Modern if people want to play her. So she's sort of written in such a way to kind of give her protection from threats like solitude. And even if you did counter her, haha, joke's on you, you still get that benefit. So we really tried to lean into how much power and give her a shot, in Modern and in anywhere else you might want to play.
Well, and like devastating cast trigger, we've seen that. And then also, you can kind of cheat this one out a little sooner as well, right? If you play your cards right. So so Brent Hollow absolutely crushed this. But one of my absolute favorite cards is actually a throw forward from original Rise of the Eldrazi concept art. So I'll take a look here at a concept we finally got to pay off in card form.
We were looking at the world guide from more than 10 years ago, and we're like, hey, nobody's used this guy with a hoodie before. Let's put it in a card. And
a hoodie? Is that what we're calling that?
It's like non-canonically. So I sent this to the great Domenico Cava, who Domenico has a booth around here. Go shake his hand. Great artist from Italy. And he did the concept art justice. It just looks really cool, really strong, and also like kind of faded in the back because it's actually really big. You see that little dot there that's next to the monster? That's exactly the size. That's how tall you would be next to him.
Yeah.
This thing is massive, and it is huge. It's a huge bomb, particularly in limited play. Like I don't know how much MH3 you've been drafting, but this guy wrecks face. Speaking of wrecking, next up we have Modern Horizons 3 Kozilek.
Yeah.
The Broken Reality.
So with Kozilek, traditionally he's sort of drawn cards in some kind of way, but this time Manifest was pitched as kind of a cool way to both represent the distortion of reality and manipulation of your library, and we keyed into that with like the draw mechanism like pretty quickly, and then later on we're like, no, we really want you to manifest. We really want you to do this, and so the grow text was added on fairly late, but it sort of tied it all together.
Yeah, it's that totally valid, 19 power rate for 9 mana?
That seems fine.
That's fine.
It's fine.
That's fine.
No big deal.
We've distorted the reality. And next up, we have, again, my favorite Eldrazi Titan in full resplendent glory with this piece from Chase Stone really raising the roof. Ulamog, the Defiler.
My God, Chase just killed it.
Knocked it out of the park.
I want to have this in a playmat. I'm sure a lot of people on the audience have gone spelunking. When there's like a little light falling there,
This is why I don't go spelunking. This is why.
I've posed like this. There's like, you pose under the light. I'm pretty sure Ulamog's feeling the same, but Ulamog times, many 100 meters. Incredible piece.
Yeah.
It's not a small card. It just feels gigantic. You can feel the weight. Incredible.
Everything about this card is big. From the art, and then there's the mechanic. You're going to see this in your Commander games.
Oh, yes. So Ulamog the Defiler was definitely the least horizon-y of the four, or of the three, but very Ulamog-y to the extreme. We'd never done Annihilator X before, but we were like, it's novel, and it's spooky. It gave us so many, it gave us a lot of challenges that were pretty fun in development. And so I'm on the casual play design team, and we do a lot of development with Commander and casual play in mind. And in that format, in Commander specifically, there's so many artifact tokens and just proliferation around that. Annihilator 1 or 2 really wouldn't get you, much of a threat. That's not really that big of a deal. But Annihilator X, now we're talking. We have
X,
this
but
thing.
that could be anything.
X could be anything. And so we wanted to we wanted it to be really impactful, still deliver that near game-ending feel, that threat, but still have an opportunity for players to deal with it in some way. So we have this thing in game design where we do last calls towards the end of a development of a set, where we're like, all right, are we sure we want to do this? Are we OK with that? And this was definitely on everybody on my team's last calls of like, all right, the text is on the card, but maybe we should do something about it. And so we tweaked it just a little bit, that ward cost specifically, so that it could players could still have that opportunity, narrow as it may be, to deal with that threat on the table.
Somebody's gonna have to take one for the team here to save the table.
I often was the one taking one for the team in development. I was like, why am I the one getting Ulamog all the time?
And you talked about, again, we talked about the lineages, we talked about the mechanics, but you really paid off the mechanics here in MH3. You can see on each, not just the Titans themselves, but even on the individual cards in the set, we're seeing those mechanical through lines, we're seeing those visual through lines, and I picked some of my favorites here for kind of a couple of the Titans to really show their stuff.
Yeah, they're represented really well. I think distinguishing their brews, it all feels really unique. We have Devoid, we have playing around in colorless. It's just, I loved drafting this set when it was in development, and I love it even more now that's out.
Yeah, I've been playing a ton on
Hey, I waited around 10 years to be able to work on something related to the Eldrazi. So MH3 is a dream come true, not just as a player, but as an artist myself, and as an art director, to just be able to be a part of something like this. They've given me so many fun moments. They're pretty scary on the battlefield, but in gameplay, it's just incredible what you can do with them.
Right.
And it really communicates how they're mysterious and powerful.
Yeah, and for us, and we, casual play design, this is the first time we ever worked on the Eldrazi's in a big way in development. We were still a really nascent team, like less than a year. And so we were tasked with, especially when it came to the Titans, of how do we make these things as impactful as they are, but still fun. And so we have so many knobs, how much they cost, like how serious their cast or enter ability or static is. And it was such a really rewarding, challenging, because it just taught us a lot about the space that was available to us and the game itself. It was just really, really fulfilling and spooky to work on. And I hope you all, I hope it goes as well with y'all as it did with us. So
they're certainly epic, right?
Yeah,
like it feels cool to play them, and it feels like you actually overcame a threat when you get them off of the board, right? Like it's just they're really cool. They're really cool.
Well,
Whether
when
it's
I
a blighted
do it,
fen or
I have to. When I do it, I usually keep a towel next to me, and I'm just like, oh, so much work, so much work.
Is that when you cast them?
Maybe it's a little both. It could be both. It could be both.
Awesome, awesome. Well, hey, please thank me in thanking our guests for coming up here. Ellie, Ovidio, a pleasure talking with you about the Eldrazi.
Just want to give a little shout out to Emily Teng and Deborah Garcia. Deborah Garcia was the lead art director for MH3, and Emily was the narrative lead for it. They did a great job. It was an honor working with them to support their work. Incredible work. They really did the Eldrazi justice.
Great call out. We talk about Titans. We truly stand on the shoulders of giants. We have a saying, it takes a multiverse, and it absolutely does. None of this all comes together by any individual effort. It is a huge team group effort, and I think Modern Horizons 3 speaks to the testament of that, and it's just a very, very lovely set. So,
absolutely.
But don't go away, because please join me in welcoming to stage one of my favorite members of Loading Ready Run, Graham.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Thank you. All right, good luck.
Thank you, everyone. Lovely to see you. Thanks
Y'all
for
are
that
going to love what
wonderful
comes
panel.
next.
Yeah.
Maybe a
you for
little
that.
too much.
Thanks for giving us the rundown of the unknowable Eldrazi. Hopefully we know them all a little better now. And we're going to find out how much better we know them, because I am looking for two people from the audience who consider themselves Eldrazi super fans to come up on stage here and do a little Eldrazi competition. Who would like to join me up here on stage? Anybody? Raise your hands. Trust me, it'll be fun. You actually looked pretty keen. Anyone else? Anyone else really want to come up here on stage and test their Eldrazi knowledge? I only see one other hand. Everyone's afraid of them. Don't worry, they'll be fine. They won't bite. Come have a seat over here. You can have this one. Who are you?
I'm Frederick.
Great. Where are you from, Frederick?
I'm from the Netherlands, from the north.
From the north of the Netherlands.
Yes.
Wonderful. Here, you can hold this. Have a seat.
Right.
You may
Nice
need.
to meet you, Graham.
Nice to meet you too. You may need that later. Hello. Come on over here. What's your name?
My name is Sam.
Hello, Sam. Where are you from?
From the south of the Netherlands as well.
Also from the Netherlands. Great. Two folks from here. Wonderful. Give them a hand. Now you'll be competing against some people not from here. We have 3 seats. Can you guess who you might be facing? Starting with, ordinarily known as Loading Ready Run's Cameron Lauder. Today, it's Ulamog, the ceaseless hunger. Joining him in his day-to-day life, it is Ben Ulmer from Loading Ready Run, but today it is Kozilek, the great gaslighter.
Oh, thank you.
And finally, known commonly as Loading Ready Run's Kathleen DeVere, today it is Emrakul, the Aeons Torn.
This is more complicated than it looks. Oh no.
Well, I'm glad I don't have such an outfit.
All right, we're gonna do.
Otherwise.
So we're gonna ask you some questions and see if you can guess, based on everything that we just saw, how the Eldrazi Titans will be responding. So your first question that I'm gonna ask you, you don't even need to write these down necessarily. First question I'm gonna ask you is, what food is each Titan bringing to the picnic? All right? So I'm going to start. Each of you is going to get one question. That's the first question. That's going to be for Frederick. So I'm going to ask you what each of them is bringing to the picnic. Then I'm going to give them a second to write their answers down. So you want to think about it. We're going to go one at a time. Ulamog, Kozilek, Emrakul. What food do you think that they might be into? And then we'll do a question for Sam as well. And then perhaps we may have a runoff if there's a tie, or if the Eldrazi are indeed completely unknowable. All right, Frederick. What food is Ulamog going to bring to the picnic? What do you think?
I think definitely something with octopus. So maybe paella with octopus.
Ooh, octopus paella, perhaps. Ulamog, what are you bringing?
Well, Ulamog finds the concept of a picnic kind of frightening and strange because Ulamog doesn't really eat for pleasure or socialization. Ulamog eats to turn a plane governed by, laws and customs and the complex behavior of intelligent organisms into a plane governed by intermolecular forces and gravity. That being said, Ulamog does make a killer vegan big salad that everyone can enjoy.
Big salad. I don't know if that's close enough to paella to give you the point for that one.
Maybe. Big pile of stuff.
You think
Warm
so?
salad, right?
A big warm salad? Is that what?
Yeah.
It's paella, right?
Are we giving that a point? What do you think? Yeah? All right. We'll say 1 point for that. What is Kozilek bringing? What food's Kozilek into? Bring that mic up close.
I think, also something fishy. It looks a bit fishy with all the eyes. So my stepdad is from Africa, and he also has sometimes a bit of fish in his, what's it called? Well, some African food.
Something fishy.
Something fishy.
All right,
yeah.
we'll go broadly speaking with something fishy. Kozilek, what are you bringing to the picnic?
Well, Kozilek didn't realize Kozilek was referring to ourselves in the third person, apparently. So Kozilek, I'm a big, damn, that's hard. I am a big fan of like angular foods, things that are, have a nice square shape to it, or, good angles to it. So I'm gonna bring a nice homemade pizza for everyone. Nice triangular shapes. Now, don't worry about the Domino's box that I brought it in. It's from a past pizza eating experience. I made this personally, and enjoy. Again, not a Domino's pizza.
Not a Domino's pizza.
I made in a Domino's box.
Totally homemade pizza. All right.
Yes.
That seems like not a match to me. Next question. What is Emrakul bringing to the picnic?
Definitely spaghetti. I mean, the spaghetti monster.
That's such a chaotic option for a picnic.
Yeah.
Very messy.
It's messy, yeah.
Everyone get your hands in. All right, well, Emrakul, what are you bringing to the picnic?
Well, I think it's important that I bring something that you like, but it's okay because I know what you like, because you like what I like, because I can read your minds and your desires. And I would like something that reflects how magnificent and wonderful I am, but also something that you will enjoy. So I'm going to bring a 200-foot stroopwafel.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, I do like that. Totally not scary.
Yeah, it's delicious, and we're going to have such a nice time together.
I love stroopwafel, and I don't know if I could handle a 200-foot diameter stroopwafel.
I don't know if you're gonna have a choice.
Yeah, good call. What is that in metric?
60 meters. 60 meters of stroopwafel in my glorious image.
Terrific. Well, it sounds delicious, but I'm afraid it wasn't a match. So you're currently leading on 1 point. All right. Sam, it's over to you now to answer where you think each Eldrazi Titan would take you on a first date. So, where are you going to take Sam on a first date? We'll give you a moment to write your answers down. Get Sam to mull it over.
Know a little bit about Sam first.
He's from the Netherlands. That's as far as I got.
I can work with that.
All right.
Just give me a minute and I'll stick a tentacle in it. I'll tell you everything you want to know.
Oh, no. Whoa, yeah.
I'm
Sam,
very
what are you
excited.
Ulamog's ready. Sam, where is Ulamog going to take you on a first date?
Seeing as with the panel just previously mentioned that Ulamog is all about eating, I'd say for lunch or dinner, restaurant.
All right, out for some food. Ulamog?
Well, Ulamog is pretty amenable to anything because once Ulamog's done, any place is going to look like pretty much every place else after the top kilometer of your plane is turned into like 1 × 10 to the 15th kilograms of ashes, trace metals, salts, sand, and water. So I'm good going anywhere, but if you were to defer and let me choose, as the only Titan with hands, I like the petting zoo.
The petting zoo. I don't know. Is that the same? Was the one in Victoria sometimes calls themselves a children's farm, which is a very silly phrase for it. You have petting zoos here, right? You know what that is. Good.
Children's farm is actually the literal Dutch translation for that.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
Kinderboerderij.
All right. Well, we learned something, but that wasn't a match. Where's Kozilek taking you on a first date?
I don't know why, but I think the movies.
The movies.
Ooh.
It's a broad spectrum of possibility there. Kozilek, where are you taking Sam?
That's a great answer. This is really awkward. You thought we were going on a date? Oh, that's embarrassing for you. Oh, nowhere. You seem great, though. No.
Kozilek, the Great Gaslighter's answer was, "Oh, I'm sorry. You thought we
We were
was a
going
date?"
out?
Nobody ever said that.
Sorry, Sam. What about Emrakul? Where's Emrakul taken on a date?
I'd say... Maybe just an events place like this. So an events place with multiple options so that there's room for me to choose.
Somewhere with a lot of options?
Oh.
Like a convention
Like
or...
a convention, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, I was thinking, because, I am a massive, gigantic creature, I'm going to need a lot of places to spread out my influence. I mean, tentacles. I think that I would feel more at home if I could be somewhere large and round, where I could watch over people and control their every move. The planetarium. Let's go to the planetarium. I love moons. I can look at planets and I can go inside them.
We have a really good one in Friesland, in the north of the Netherlands.
Oh.
From IJsselgraam.
Excellent.
It's the oldest one from the...
But I think the planetarium has a lot of options for me to take over. Look at, innocently.
So you're suggesting, do you think that's close enough of a match?
I think that's enough of a match.
All right, fine. I'll be incredibly generous and we'll say that that's a match. Bringing it up to a tie. Congratulations, Sam. All right, so round 3 then.
Emrakul.
The final round. We're going to do this a little differently. The question is, what music would each Titan take with them while exiled to a freshly deserted island? So the way that we're going to do this is the Titans are going to have their answers, but we're going to ask each of you to now write your answers down for one Titan at a time. So we'll start with Ulamog. So write down your answer independently. No peeking. Here, I can hold your mics. What music would Ulamog take to... What's Ulamog's desert island disc?
I love John Peel. When I ate his mind, I was like, oh, such a good music taste. Num, num, num. That joke's for somebody in the audience.
Trapped in thought. Frederick's got an answer. Sam still...
I write it on the whole page?
Oh, no, that's fine. As long as you have it written down. Here, I'll give you yours back. All right. So, before revealing your answers, Ulamog, what music would you wish to be exiled with if you had to be exiled to a deserted island?
Well, if you were to take like an introductory philosophy course, one of the questions they might give you would be, where is a piece of music, right? Is it in the mind of the composer? Is it in the motions of a performer? Is it in pressure waves in the air? Is it in the pits or grooves or bits of any piece of physical media? And the answer is that because all of those are encoded in the matrix of matter, all of it can be devoured, and so it will soon exist nowhere. That being said, Ulamog really enjoys the works of Aphex Twin. Selected Ambient Works Volume 2 because that sounds like a desert island.
All right. Frederick, did you get Aphex Twin?
No, I didn't.
Shocking.
Well, I thought inside maybe he was a bit more of the Taylor Swift, maybe a country music.
She does cook.
Country. All right. Country from Frederick. Sam?
I thought it would be more laid back, like some yacht rock.
Yacht rock.
Ooh.
I'm afraid even very tenuously I cannot say that any of those match. So we will move on to the next question. So write down your answers now for Kozilek. It can be on the same sheet of paper. It can be on another sheet of paper. It's fine. I'll hold your mics again. Sorry. So what music do you think Kozilek wishes to take to his deserted island?
I've just been very helpful this entire game.
Now I want to go listen to some Aphex Twin.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Blue calcs.
All right,
yellow
Frederick's
calcs.
got your answer.
Yes.
Sam thought he had an answer, scribbled it out, new answer.
I think he's putting more thought into his answers than we did.
Interesting, interesting. I think these are both good responses, but then I'm not Kozilek. What music you jamming with?
Oh, I listen to all number of things, so it'd be way too hard for me to choose. That being said, I have a custom mixtape that I've created. It's 12 hours of the song Tequila but it's just the lead up, and then as soon as it's about to say, it just loops back again. You get no payoff.
Da 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 da.
Da 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 da.
Just right back. Oh.
Never, no payoff tequila is my answer.
Frederick, what did you come up with?
I think you could definitely make a minimal techno variant of that.
Yeah?
Yeah, like it's a bit minimal, right? You
Yeah.
don't say tequila,
Very
so I
simple.
think minimal techno
Minimalist
is
techno.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Sam?
I thought maybe Cage's 4 minutes and 33 seconds insist that it is actually music and not just silence.
Yeah, yeah.
Kozilek just wants to sit on that island and listen to the sounds in his head or his shoulders. I don't know.
I think that this is pretty much a remix. I'm happy with the techno answer.
All right.
What is
Kozilek's
tequila
happy
if
with
not
techno answer,
really
then
all
we
techno?
will stretch we will bend reality even further and give Frederick a point for that one. And finally, let's write down your answers for what music you think Emrakul would take to the desert island.
Do you need like Jeopardy style music while they're?
Sure, go for it.
Da na 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 na
Lovely.
na 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 na. You're already ready.
Yeah.
All right, we've got two answers. Emrakul.
Well, I got really into music when I was on Innistrad. I got really immersed in their culture, and I really discovered a lot of emerging artists that I really enjoyed. And it's like I can still hear their screams now. I mean, Taylor Swift. I love Taylor Swift. I think we have a lot in common, me and her. I think we'd get along.
I mean, the costuming is tremendous.
We both have a mind-controlling property.
Yeah, she has legions of zombies at her disposal.
Perfect. Well, Frederick?
Well, it's a bit in a similar way. I was thinking about a medieval child chorus. It's also, Taylor Swift also has a lot of fans, like a chorus. So.
Not just a medieval chorus, a chorus of medieval children.
That sounds delicious. I mean, beautiful.
All right, Sam?
I thought maybe the dulcet tones of some Muzak. or
Muzak.
Elevator music.
That's awfully close.
Oh, that's a Taylor Swift burn, but I can get behind it.
Like you're not going to hear that in
Elevators.
playing in elevators in some number of years.
Oh, definitely. Well, not if I have anything to do with it. I'm going to eat all the elevators.
Fair enough. Well, we have nothing on the line for this, so we'll say that that's a point, and then it's a tie game for everybody.
Yeah!
I think what we've learned the most is that despite a full 45 minutes with the people who know the most about it, the Eldrazi are still largely unknowable. Well, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Frederick, for joining us. Thank you for our panel of Titans.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And that has been the Eldrazi Power Hour. Thank you for being here today.